Hello and welcome to this video tutorial brought to you by tutvid.com. Today we're going to take a look at creating this vector ribbon. You can see it here wrapping around these vector hearts, also created in Illustrator. There's a completely other or a completely separate tutorial on how to create these hearts. For now, we're going to take a look at creating this ribbon, and it is actually kind of a hot commodity, these ribbons, because they're not really as easy as you may think to create. They're a little difficult to get the hang of, but they're used all over the place, so it's kind of like a select few who know how to create them. So I'm going to show you how to create them, and hopefully you can begin implementing them in designs of your own. So 100% vector, so that's another obvious upside. We're using Illustrator CS3 here, and you will be able to follow along using older versions of Illustrator. So if there's something that's Illustrator CS3 specific that comes up and I think of it, I will mention it. So we begin here by going File, New, to create a new document. I'm just creating this 640 by 480. You can really create it any size you want. Remember, we're working in vector, so sizing up or down is not an issue at all. Here's a new document. First thing I want to do is overlay this document with a grid. So we're going to go File, Show Grid. Now I want to edit this grid to suit my needs. Now I'm going to do this by going Edit, Preferences, Guides, and Grid. Now if you're using a Mac, I believe you have an Illustrator menu up here, and that will have your preferences under it. But for those of us on the PC, it is Edit, Preferences, Guides, and Grid. Now in here I already have this set to what I want, but this is not default. I have this set to a grid line every 100 pixels and subdivisions 10. It just means each of these 100 pixel by 100 pixel boxes is cut up 10 slices up and down, 10 across. So we've got 100 small boxes inside of each 100 pixel box. So hit OK, and there we go. We have the grid. Now before we get going, we need to go View, Snap to Grid, because now we're going to be using this grid to help us lay out these ribbon shapes. Now we're going to be using the pen tool, and it may get a little tricky to follow along at times. I'm going to try to take my time, go slow for you guys, and obviously if you have any trouble, just back the video up a little bit and try it again. However, because we're using the snap to grid, it should be pretty easy to follow along, because I'll tell you how many blocks I'm dragging the pen out over, and whether or not it's straight up or straight down or left or right or whatever direction I'm going. Pen tool's right here in the toolbar. Just grab that, and well, actually I'm going to grab the brush tool just for kind of pointing something out. You don't need to grab the brush tool. You can hang on to the pen tool. Okay, we're going to be starting by drawing from one of these main lines, and we're going to draw over to another main line over here. So we're going to go and cover 2 boxes worth of area. Okay, 1 box here, 1 box here. So 2 of these big boxes we are going to be covering with the initial phase, you can think of it as, or the initial piece of our ribbon, because it's going to be broken up into several pieces that we're going to build and link together. So I'm going to start over on this line to the left. I'm just going to click at the main intersecting point. Because I've snapped the grid turned on, it's just going to click right to the exact intersection. I'm going to pull down 2 box widths. That's 2 subdivision box widths. I'm going to move over 1 box, 2 boxes is the main boxes I'm talking about, and I'm going to click and I'm going to pull up 2 subdivision widths, or heights, I should say. And I'm going to grab my selection tool and just deselect it. Now I just have a black stroke. I have no fill selected, or set, I should say. So we've got this nice angled, or not angled, this nice curving semicircle. I want to select it and go Edit, Copy, and Edit Paste in Front. The reason I'm using Paste in Front, or Paste in Back for that matter, is because this is like Illustrator's Paste in Place. It pastes it exactly on top of where I am, whereas the regular paste would simply paste to the center of the screen, wherever I have my screen on my piece of artwork. So I'm going to go Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste in Front. And now I'm just going to nudge this down using my down arrow key 4 times. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. Perfect. Grab my direct selection tool and select both of these anchor points on the left-hand side by simply just clicking and drawing a selection out over the left-hand side of the top and bottom lines. Now I'm going to go Object, Path, Join. Note the hotkey, Command or Control J. Now this path join, it simply grabs these 2 anchor points and draws a line between them, so it connects the path. So just Object, Path, Join, and there we go. So now that we've done it for that side, highlight the right hand side, and we can just hit Control, or from the Mac, Command J. And there we go. We've now converted what used to be two lines into one solid shape. Matter of fact, I only have a stroke applied to it, so I can just hit this Swap, Fill, and Stroke arrow key down here at the bottom of the toolbar. And we now have a solid black shape. I'm going to zoom in on that a little bit to give you guys a close look at the wonderful black shape we've just drawn. Alright, now I want to fill this with a gradient. Now, whereas on the other document I have this gold gradient, I think we're going to do silver because gold is a little more complicated than silver. Silver is just some blacks and whites and grays. So I'm going to open up this dock here. I'm going to double click my color box because I'm going to be using that a little bit. Mainly I'm going to be working in the gradient panel here. Now, if you don't have any of these panels open, just come under Window and find whatever panel you're looking for. See here, the gradient panel. Command or Control F9 is the hotkey. But I already have it open. So I'm just going to select the gradient thumbnail. That applies the currently selected gradient to the shape, as you can see, just happened on stage or on our artboard over here. I want this to be about a 5 or 7 stop gradient. I'm going to make it a 7 stop gradient because I want there to be 2 gradients close to each end, kind of like that. And then I want there to be 3 in between, like so. Now the 2 gradients on either end, I'm just going to use my color panel, excuse me, searching for the word there, my color panel, and I'm going to set these guys to about 85% gray. Same goes for this white on this end. So the 2 ends are about 85% gray because they're going to kind of shadow off. Wherever this is where our ribbons are going to join. Each piece of the ribbon is going to join. So we want there to be sort of like a little shadow there. And then here, this is going to be about a 65% gray on this side, and over here we're going to make it much lighter, maybe a 35% gray. And then in the center, we can just sort of mix it up. You know, I'm going to make this gray a lot lighter, sort of like that. And in the center, as I mentioned a moment ago, we're going to make it much lighter. Make a really dark spot there. Make this guy a little bit lighter. And maybe lighten this one up a little bit. So, just like that, we have this nice sort of silverish looking gradient. Now what I'm going to do is just select this gradient swatch thumbnail again, and what this is going to do is it's going to load it into my color panel. Okay, you can see it just brought it to the color panel. The reason I want to do that is because I'm going to drag my color panel out here. See this little flat menu here? If you click that, you can come down to the bottom and choose Create New Swatch. And we're just going to save this as silver. You can see that just places that silver swatch in our swatches panel for easy access when we end up using this later on. We can just come in here, bam, click it. We don't have to remake this. We don't have to eyedrop this. Super easy to do, super simple. So that's great. Now, before we go on messing with the gradient any further, we need to start creating the other shapes for this ribbon. So let's begin doing that. I'm going to grab the pen tool again. Now you can start anywhere. We're just going to draw this element and then we're going to attach it to the ribbon. So don't worry about drawing it right onto this piece of the ribbon that we've already drawn. So you can just start anywhere, click at the intersection of any of these grid lines, and I'm just going to pull down twice. Then I'm going to move to the right 5 subdivision widths and move up 1 subdivision width. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to pull down 1. Or excuse me, I'm going to pull up 1. I did this kind of backward here. What I need to do, I need to delete this. Let's try that again. Grab the pen tool and instead of pulling down, pull up 2 box widths, move to the right 5, and pull up 1. There we go. And now grab your selection tool. Select that little S-curve that we just created, copy it, paste it in front or back. That'd just be Command or Control F, paste in front, and nudge it down 1 and 2. That nudges it down 2 whole box widths, which is exactly what we nudged this down. Now, this one we nudged 4, but it still only did 2 box widths. So, grab the Direct Selection tool and highlight the left anchor points, Command or Control J to join them. Highlight the right anchor points, Command or Control J to join them. Alright, now what we need to do is move this guy into place. Notice he's still snapping to the grid, which is perfect because the edge of our bigger ribbon piece is right on that grid line. That's wonderful. So we're going to bring him right into there. Now we immediately see a problem because he's sitting on top of our ribbon. So just select this piece, Command or Control X to cut it, and then Command or Control B to paste it back. There we go. Pasted it right and back. I'm going to select this. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it in back. So I just did Command and Control C to copy, Command and Control B to paste it back. I'm just going to drag it straight across to the other side and go Object, Transform, Reflect. So that's Object, Transform, Reflect. And I'm going to reflect this along the vertical axis. Reflecting along the vertical axis flips it horizontally. The vertical axis runs straight up and down. So if you're flipping it on that axis, you're just flipping it horizontally. Now, something that you will notice is because we have this dark gray at both ends of our gradient, these edges look like they just wrap right around and join up to this gradient because it's got that gray there. Now for these smaller pieces, I think we should sort of simplify the gradient a little bit. So I'm going to click my gradient panel and I'm going to pull out these couple these couple color stops, move these out a little bit, and I'm going to grab my color panel like so. Let me open up this whole doc. And I want to just lighten up these grays a little bit, maybe a little, like what? Like what do I want to do? I want to darken that up actually. Darken that one up. I'm going to leave that one lightened, and we're going to drop another one in over here and lighten this one right up. Substantial amount, and lighten that up just a slight bit. So just mess around, basically just make that gradient a little bit different for these pieces, because from now on we're going to copy these pieces, so you don't have to worry about your gradient being all different and changed and crazy. So now that we have those gradients, that's fine. We only need to draw one more piece before it's just a matter of copying and pasting to sort of expand upon the ribbon that we've created. So let's create this last piece. Grab the pen tool. Now remember, this back piece of the ribbon is 5 sub widths wide. So we want to make this next piece of the ribbon 10 wide. So this is the size of one of these whole blocks. So I'm going to click and pull down 2. Then I'm going to move all the way to the other side on the same exact grid line and click and pull down 2. And I'm going to select this with my direct selection, or not my direct selection tool, excuse me, my normal selection tool, and I'm going to go Command or Control C, Command or Control F to paste in front, and I'm going to move them down 1, 2, oops, what did I do wrong? 1, 2, 3, 4, and there we go. That should be the equivalent of what we were looking for. Let me just double check it real quick, and yeah, this starts to get tricky when you use these because it starts to use the center of the line you've created, which is just above one of the grid lines. So we just have to be careful, and I think this piece has to be nudged down one more click. So you just have to look at it, and if it looks right, go with it. If not, just take it back and adjust it. I think I have this right here, so I'm going to join these ends, Object Path Join, and again with the other side, Object Path Join or Command or Control J. Now, as a moment of truth, let me check to see if I got it the right size, and it looks like I did. Wonderful. Now, in order to get this to line up, we need to shut off the snapping to grid, because you're going to see if we bring it in and try to snap it in there, it's not going to look right. It doesn't snap in properly. So, what I'm going to do, well, first I'm going to cut this and paste it in the back. So just Command or Control X, Command or Control B to paste it in back. You're going to see here as I move it down, it is now behind our other ribbon piece. And you know what? I actually like it like that, so I'm not going to shut off the snapping to grid. I'm just going to leave that on. That looks pretty good. And I'm going to select this piece now. Command or Control C and Command or Control B to paste them back. And I'm just going to shift all the way over to this side. And again, to flip this guy, Object, Transform, Reflect along that vertical axis. Okay. And there we go. We have the first part of our ribbon looking pretty good. You know, this front part of the ribbon I need to make a little bit taller, so I'm going to select the bottom anchor point on this side, hold down the shift key, select the bottom anchor point on the right hand side. Now I'm using the direct selection tool that allows you to select individual anchor points, and I'm just going to go down 1, 2, bring it down 2. I think that looks a little better. Make that a little bit wider there. Okay, now you might want to save your document now that you've gotten these initial shapes and gradients down. What we need to do next, well, we need to select both of these shapes and come up to our swatches panel and set that more complicated gradient on them, just like that. Now what we're going to do is start copying these two pieces and placing them over at the other end. If you look at this, you can see we have 3 folds happening. So we're going to create another 3 folds. So let's begin by doing this side. Just use my regular selection tool. It's not the direct selection tool. It's the black arrow. Command or Control C to copy. Command or Control V to paste behind. And I'm just going to move over until that lines up. And what I mean by that lines up is, let me move back so you can see what exactly I'm working on. You can see the edge of this back fold lines up with the front edge of this flowing piece of ribbon right here. The only thing that needs to happen now is this needs to be moved up. So I can just move it up 1 arrow key nudge, okay, no shift, just 1 arrow key nudge, and now here is where we need to start making a few changes to this. We need to zoom in, and in order to get this to fit together correctly, we need to use the white arrow or the direct selection tool, select the anchor point on the bottom of this back piece, and nudge it up 1. Okay, that's more than enough. And oh, you know what? I'm not going to nudge it up 1. I'm going to come up here to View, and we are going to shut off Snap to Grid while we do this. And we're going to nudge it up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 should be plenty. And then we're going to nudge the top left corner of, you can see which piece we have selected here, down 1, 2, 3, 4. So there we go. That kind of helps that seam right together seamlessly. But that's not all. We're going to select both of these pieces, and as this ribbon gets away from the main big piece, it's going to start getting slightly smaller. So what we're going to do is come up here to Object, Transform, Scale. And we're going to do a non-uniform scale. We're only going to scale it horizontally, and that by 75%. So hit OK. And there we go. That is slightly smaller than the one just before it. All right, let's do the same thing on this side. Select both of these, copy them, paste them in the back. Now here I'm going to turn Snap to Grid back on so we can make sure we get it lined up perfectly. There we go, it's lined up perfectly. Click the up arrow key once. And now we need to go up to View, Snap to Grid, shut it off. And we nudge this bottom anchor point of this back piece up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 last time. And the top anchor point of this 1, 2, 3, 4. So there we go, we got them faded right back together. Oh, this looks like it needs to go at the lower anchor point there. Select the whole shape and then just choose that anchor point. Bring that guy up 1 more. And select both of these now. Go Object, Transform, Scale. Okay. There we go. We've got 2 of them done. You can see our ribbon is coming along. Now let's come back over to the side and apply the 3rd and final fold. So we're just going to copy these 2. Command or Control C, Command or Control B to paste them back. Again, we need to turn Snap to Grid back on. So, see, it's very complicated. Move it over till it lines up and move it up 2 this time. And you can see that we really don't need to do much of any other kind of blending. There is a little bit of that edge sticking up. We could just go in and shut off Snap to Grid and fix that real quick. 2, 3. That lines it up beautifully. And select both shapes, Object, Transform, Scale, and hit OK. So there's the final fold for that side. Select these 2, copy, Command Control B to paste behind. Now turn Snap to Grid back on. Also note there's a hotkey, which is Shift Control or Shift Command parenthesis. And move this guy over, just like that. Go up twice, just like we did in the other final fold. And again, shut off Snap to Grid. And select that top anchor point and go down 1, 2, 3. And then select these final 2 pieces, Object, Transform, scale them down non-uniformly, 75% horizontal. So, there we go. We have created the ribbon with these folds, but this is far from being over. So, what we need to do now is create the ribbon edge on this final fold. We can do that by using the pen tool. I'm going to set my fill to white, actually black, just for the sake of being able to see it easier. And I'm going to start up in this top right-hand corner of this final fold, and I'm just going to pull down a little bit. I don't have Snap to Grid on, so this is kind of a matter of how much you pull down. And then I'm going to click somewhere in the middle, maybe 1/3 of the way into the ribbon, and I'm going to pull a nice rounded angle. I'm going to hold down my Alt key. I'm going to click that anchor point that I just placed, and now I'm going to click in the bottom right-hand corner and just pull out so I get another nice pointed edge. Use my direct selection tool to adjust that. Now with the pen tool, I'm just going to join the path. So there we go. We have the shape sitting here. I'm going to copy the shape, and I'm going to move all the way across. By the way, I was just holding down my space bar. You can just hold your space bar down. It switches to the hand tool, and you can just click and scoot around your artboard. Right. Command or Control V. Notice doesn't paste it in place, just paste it right in the exact center of wherever I'm looking. And I'm going to go Object, Transform, Reflect, just to flip this guy horizontally, and I'm going to set this to be about the same way it is on the other side. You can see we've got these two black spots now in our, our final fold. So I'm going to zoom in. What we're going to do is we're going to select this black spot and the final ribbon, not the back piece, just the final ribbon. And we're going to go Window, Pathfinder. We're going to choose this Subtract From Shape. You can see what that does. It cuts that spot right out of the ribbon, but it also places it up on top of everything we're doing. So we're going to do two things real quick. We're real quick going to expand this in the Pathfinder panel. There is a nice Expand Compound Shape button. And then we're going to go Object, Arrange, Send to Back. So there we go. We just sent that to the back. That is an alternative way, so you don't have to cut it and send it to the back by pasting it back every time. Select the black spot here and the final ribbon piece and subtract that, expand, and again, Object, Arrange, Send to Back. So we now have that looking much more like a ribbon. So now all that's left to do is, well, I want to select both of these end ribbons and go Object. Well, I need to select them. Well, I'm getting a step ahead of myself. I can't do that quite yet. I need to select all the pieces of the ribbon that are to the front. So select this piece, hold down the Control or the Shift key, excuse me, and select this piece, hold down the Shift key, select that piece, select that, and that. So I don't have any of these little pieces with the simplified gradient selected. Just these front pieces. I'm going to go Object, Path, Offset Path. We're going to offset it -2 pixels. Basically, this is just going to copy the path that's there, and you can think of it as the contract selection if you're familiar with Photoshop. It's kind of like the contract path. So I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to select this last guy, right-click. Okay, never mind. I'm not going to right-click on him. I'm going to select all of these inserted shapes just by clicking in there. You can kind of see if you're following along on your own, these are new shapes that are created in the center. You can sort of see them. And I'm going to get rid of the fill. And I'm going to set well, let's do a white stroke of a 1/2 pixel. So I'm going to come over here, grab my stroke panel, and just set this to 1/2 point. Close the dock up. And we now have this nice white trim coming through our ribbon. So there we go. That quickly, we make the ribbon and we create all these folds. There's one last thing I want to do, and this kind of has to be done just one piece at a time with each of these little pieces. I'm just going to select each of them, and if you know the hotkeys, it's really quick. You can just Command or Control C to copy, Command or Control F to paste in front. And I'm going to come over here to the Transparency panel, which I'm going to leave open here, Window, Transparency, and I'm going to set the Blend mode, which is this drop-down menu right here, to multiply, just to darken that up so we can really see what pieces are in the back. Command or Control C, Command or Control F, set it to multiply. Command or Control C, Command or Control F, multiply. See? Not too bad. Now the reason we have to do it one at a time is because these layers are all interweaved with the pieces of ribbon. So if we were just to select them all and paste them all in front, some would be too far in front, some would be where they're supposed to be, but it's just much faster to just grab them and do them individually, especially when we only have 6 to do just like that. So you can see here is the completed ribbon. Now we're going to take it over and apply it in our other document. How do we do that? Well, it's pretty easy. I'm just going to select the whole thing and group it. So just select the entire thing, and Command or Control G just groups it up. Now I can just select anywhere, and we can just move it wherever. We can rotate it if we want, and we're good. So I'm going to select it, edit, copy. I'm hitting Command Tab or Control Tab to switch over to my other document that I have open. And the first thing I need to do is get rid of this ribbon that is here now. So I'm going to come into my Layers panel and I'm going to select the front ribbon, delete it, and just select this entire bunch of ribbon there and delete that. Alright, Right here on layer 3, I'm going to paste the ribbon that we copied, so Command or Control V. Okay, wonderful. We've pasted the ribbon. First thing I want to do is make it a little bit bigger. All right, looking good. Now, we need to make this look like it is going around. Let me lock up that background layer. We need to make this look like it is going around these hearts. So we need to ungroup it first and foremost. And we need this piece here to stay in front of the heart, whereas everything else has to go behind it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to come into... Oh, we pasted this into the hearts layer, not the layer I wanted to, but we did. All right, I need to select both this ribbon and... Oops. Now, let me lock up all the stuff that is not ribbon related. Just like that. All right, so I need to select this entire front ribbon piece, and I'm going to group that just so I can just quickly select it. And I'm going to bring this up into layer 3. This is a new layer that I created above the hearts layer. Everything else, well, I'm going to lock up layer 3 now, so you can see that is that front ribbon piece. Right, I'm going to shut it off just to keep us from being confused. We now just have the tails of this ribbon. And because everything else is locked up, I can just select these like that. I'm going to group them. And I'm going to drag this group below all of the heart stuff. So, there we go. I'm going to unlock everything now except the background. And I'm going to turn my other ribbon layer on. And you can see that this now appears to be wrapped around the ribbon. And when I select those two, or wrapped around the heart, excuse me, when I select both pieces of the ribbon, I can move it up, or I can move it down, and I can really mess around with it. So that is how you create this ribbon in Illustrator. So I hope you've learned something from this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Please go check out the site. That's www.tutvid.com for more tutorials.